All right, everyone, we start off today with a little bit of debunking. We have to debunk the mythology that nobody is above the law. Apparently, some people didn't get the memo, and genuinely, I think that some people are actually taken in by this new sloganeering. We heard it from Schumer the other day. Hillary Clinton, which is, God, that's a laugh riot, hearing it from her. And hearing it in general from the people prosecuting Trump and stuff. It's against that context generally that this lie is being peddled. Liberals in the United States forever have understood that the justice system is unequally applied. A person who has power, who has clout, who is friends with the sheriff and everything, they're less likely to be brought in on any charges. They're less likely to get indicted. They're less likely to even face a grand jury situation. They're certainly less likely to get found guilty in the end and sentenced to anything meaningful. They're more likely to get a sweetheart deal. We're seeing this literally right now with Hunter Biden. The person helping craft the sweetheart deal is now the special counsel in charge of looking into the case. I find it funny that they keep trotting out the defensive line. Well, a bunch of Republicans also wanted that David Weiss to be the special counsel. Yeah, people like Murkowski, so unipartyist Republicans. I wonder why they would want to shield the Biden administration. They're worried about Trump coming back and breaking the toys, and they don't want to work with him. So it's exactly the same as what happened in the 22 midterms when Mitch McConnell helped to screw a dozen candidates over simply because they were endorsed by and friendly with Trump and had populistic values. But the mythology that nobody is above the law flies in the face of legally every historical precedent in every culture that's ever existed on the planet. The lie is so huge that some people are genuinely believing it. Others simply have cognitive dissonance and really bad TDS. And so they're saying, well, I know that deep inside they know that it's not true, but they just don't want to acknowledge it. They want to go with the flow on this one because they're also scared of Orange Man because MSNBC told them for a half decade to be. There are plenty of people that are above the law. Situationally, number one, and number two in the more absolute sense. Situationally, a person can be above the law simply because of the crime that they happen to commit, the people that happen to be on the jury, oddly enough. Maybe someone knows of them and does some jury nullification. Yeah, you can be above the law. If you're a public official, you are considerably less likely to face significant scrutiny. If you do end up getting charged in the end, they're likely to give you a sweetheart deal. More likely than for some random average Joe. What about the epidemic of cops planting crack in cars in LA and New York and places like that to meet their arrest quotas, liberals? What about that back in the 90s and 2000s where most of them never got in trouble for it? Are they above the law? The thin blue line shielded them pretty well now, didn't it? Cops tend to be less scrutinized. When drugs go missing from the lockup, oftentimes the cameras just stopped working mysteriously at the same time. It's inexplicable. And trust us, Officer Joe over there, he really likes powdered donuts. So that white powder under his nose and the fact that he's tweaking a little bit, he's just got a sugar high. There are plenty of people that are situationally above the law. Then there are people that are effectively absolutely above the law, namely the global elite. These people almost never face any scrutiny whatsoever, no matter what the hell they do. In fact, they're given public money in many cases for all of their little pet projects while screwing people in the ass. The Constitution is flagrantly violated at this point on a regular basis. Little is done about it, which is a damn shame. There are plenty of people that are above the law. Politicians tend to be in that class too. Hillary Clinton is probably the greatest example, which is why it's so surreal to watch her chuckle and say how happy she is that Donald Trump is facing so many felony indictments. It was acknowledged that she broke the law. Comey came out on live TV and told the public that she had broken the law. This is objective. The video is still there, so don't bother attempting to argue the point. He acknowledged, yeah, she had classified materials, including some top secret, improperly stored. Data retention rules apply. Most of that's civil, but there are numerous potential felonies there. She broke the law. But we're declining to charge her. We're not going to tell the DOJ that we think she should be charged because we don't have any evidence that the materials were ever breached. So no harm, no foul. And she's just too fucking stupid to realize that what she was doing was illegal, basically. Yeah, she broke the law, but we're not going to do anything about it. How much more of a possible above-the-law sort of thing can you get? By the way, effectively, the purpose of that was we don't want to interfere with the election, so we're not going to charge her. Interesting that that's exactly what's happening here over very, very similar things, at least in Jack Smith's case. So really, yeah, there's definitely a differential within the justice system. The law is an ass. The law is a spider's web. The wasps go free, the flies are caught. It's been self-evident. Name a culture or a time period in which things like that don't happen. I like how people in the United States are being carefully groomed right now by the current unipartyists into thinking that their culture is so massively superior and different and exceptional. It's almost a form of American exceptionalism. Basically, the argument is it couldn't happen here. In every other country, there are show trials, there's political dissidents are abused, censorship is lopsided, etc., etc. All of these things happen there. Those countries also, they should be worried about state suppression. They should be worried about the possibility in any given time of genocide. But here, it could never happen. Meanwhile, it's happening right in front of the eyes of the public. But the lie is so big and so unfathomably obtuse that people can't even observe it all. The lie is so large that their eyes can only take in one little bit of the lie at the time, so they never see the whole giant floating bolus that is the giant great lie that nobody is above the law. Nothing untoward is happening here. All of the sleazebags and crooks that you know are sleazebags and crooks have your back, America. They're on your side, defending democracy against the one villain in U.S. history who's so remarkably and unacceptably out there that we have no choice but to effectively interfere in a presidential election. We're doing what's right. It's not what's easy, but, you know, we're with grave solemnity and bowing before the statue of Lincoln. We must defend the flag. There are people that effectively believe this hyperbole. It's hyperbolic bullshit. It's also not true. That's a complete lie. Again, though, tell a lie that's big enough and a lot of people will be taken in by it. Little lie, people say, you're shitting me. Huge lie, all of a sudden you end up with a cult-like mentality among some people, in this case influenced by political persuasion, and they'll believe it. Yeah, nobody is above the law. Now, the liberals don't believe it either. They know that it's hollow sloganeering, but they're not going to say anything because Trump bad. They don't want to look like they're defending Orange Man, and Orange Man is obviously guilty of something because he's got so many charges from so many different courts. It's a big lie. It's a setup. The entire legal system right now is completely rigged against Donald Trump. And they're doing this on purpose. It doesn't take a goddamn genius to figure out what they're doing. But because of the unfathomability of how corrupt it is. So if you recognize how corrupted the system and its components have to be in order to lead to this situation, which is so obviously corrupt, so treasonous actually, it scares people and they don't want to believe it. So at the very least, they don't allow themselves to consciously acknowledge what's going on. Again, some of them do that for political reasons. Well, I realize that Donald Trump is basically being dragged through a witch trial, but, you know, he makes mean tweets. He's a bigot and sexist. I heard that on Salon.com, and I don't want to defend him. Just this once, I'll allow the system to completely persecute a person in the most transparent and obvious way that we've seen in U.S. history, because TDS. That's literally the reason. That's about all. Peace out.